This is my student support system. Keep watching, keep learning.
Hello, welcome to today's class of anatomy and physiology. In this class, we will discuss about spinal cord and spinal nerves. This is lecture number 3 of nervous system. This lecture is in English, and if you want to study in Hindi, just click on I button and you will get link of Hindi lecture, or you can directly visit to the channel My Student Support System. What is spinal cord? Spinal cord is the part of nervous system. The spinal cord is continuous above with the medulla oblongata, and it extends from the upper border of atlas to the lower border of first lumbar vertebra. It is approximately 45 centimeter long in the adult male and is about the thickness of the little finger. Coverings of spinal cord. Like brain, spinal cord is also completely surrounded by 3 layers of tissue known as spinal meninges. These are dura mater, which is outermost layer, arachnoid mater, which is middle layer, and pia mater. The spinal cord, although roughly cylindrical, but is flattened slightly antero-posteriorly. Like brain, it is also supported by CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. This cerebrospinal fluid lies inside the central canal and the subarachnoid space around the spinal cord. Cross-section of spinal cord reveals the regions of white matter that surrounds the inner core of gray matter. The white matter of spinal cord consists primarily the bundles of myelinated axons of neurons. Two grooves penetrate the white matter of the spinal cord and divide it into right and left sides. Here, this is the posterior sulcus and this is the anterior sulcus. The anterior median fissure is a wide groove on the anterior side, while the posterior median fissure is a narrow groove on the posterior side. The gray matter of the spinal cord is shaped like letter H, this one, or a butterfly. The arrangement of gray matter in the spinal cord resembles the shape of letter H, having two posterior, two anterior, and two lateral columns. So here these are known as columns. These are posterior column, these are lateral column, and these are anterior columns. Posterior column of gray matter. These are composed of cell bodies that are stimulated by sensory impulse from the periphery of body. The nerve fiber of these cells contribute to the formation of white matter of the cord and transmit the sensory impulse upwards to the brain. The anterior column of gray matter. These are composed of the cell bodies of lower motor neuron that are stimulated by the upper motor neuron or the connector neuron linking the anterior and posterior columns to form the reflex arch. Now lateral columns of gray matter. These are composed of motor neurons of autonomic nervous system which sequentially pass through the lateral gray horn, anterior gray horn and anterior root to enter the spinal nerve. Spinal reflexes. A reflex action is an involuntary and immediate motor response to a sensory stimulus. Many connectors and motor neurons may be stimulated by afferent impulses. Afferent means coming towards the spinal cord or brain from a small area of skin. For example, the pain impulse initiated by touching a very hot surface with the finger or a pin or needle piercing the finger, transmitted to the spinal cord by sensory fibers in the mixed nerve. And as you know that all the spinal nerves are mixed nerves. These impulses stimulate many connectors or interneurons and the lower motor neuron in spinal cord. Some sensation simultaneously goes to the brain, but action is taken by the spinal cord, which results in contraction of skeletal muscles of the hand, arm, and shoulders, and removal of finger from the hot object. The reflex action happens very quickly, and this system is known as reflex arc. Here you can understand this by this picture that this is stimulus. These are the sensory neuron. They reach to the spinal cord. There is interneuron or relay neuron which then connects with the motor neuron and gives a message for to the muscles to remove the hand. So this is reflex arc. While giving answer to this question, you can make this picture in your answer. Spinal nerves. There are 31 pairs of spinal nerves which are part of peripheral nervous system. These nerves are attached to the spinal cord, which are named and numbered according to the region and the level of the vertebral column from which they come out. Here you can understand that these 31 pairs are named as 8 pairs of cervical nerves which come out of the cervical area, then 12 pairs of thoracic nerves, 5 pairs of lumbar nerves, 5 pairs of sacral nerves, and there is 1 pair of coccygeal nerve. The spinal nerves provide a path of communication between the brain through spinal cord and the specific regions of our body as they connect central nervous system to sensory receptors, muscles and glands in all the parts of body. A typical spinal nerve have two connections to the spinal cord. These are posterior nerve root and anterior nerve root, which unite to form the spinal nerve. Here you can understand this is a spinal cord and these are two roots. Okay, both sides. So these are posterior nerve root, these are anterior nerve root. So posterior nerve root contains the sensory neurons and anterior nerve root contains motor neurons. After coming out intervertebral foramen, a spinal nerve divides into several branches and these branches are known as rami. The posterior rami serve the deep muscles and skin of posterior surface of the trunk. The anterior rami serve the muscles and structures of the upper and lower limbs and skin of the lateral and anterior surface of our trunk. Now what is plexus? There is a special system. You can get a short note on plexus in your exam. So axons from the anterior rami of spinal nerves, not all, maximum, except thoracic nerves T2 to T12. They do not go directly to the body structures they supply. Instead, they form a network on both left and right side of the body by joining the various numbers of axons of anterior rami of adjacent nerves. And these structures or these networks are called as plexus. So there are many plexus. First we will discuss the cervical plexus. Cervical plexus is in the neck. The cervical plexus is formed by roots of first four cervical nerves, that is C1 to C4 and some part of C5. There is one on each side of the neck alongside the four cervical vertebrae. The cervical plexus supply the skin and muscles of head, neck and superior parts of shoulders and chest. The phrenic nerve arise from the cervical plexus and supply motor fibers to the diaphragm and help in respiration. Second is brachial plexus. The anterior rami of spinal nerves C5 to C8 and T1 form the brachial plexus. which extend inferiorly and laterally on the either side of last four cervical and first thoracic vertebrae. The brachial plexus pass above the first rib and then posterior to the clavicle and enter into the axilla. The brachial plexus provide almost entire nerve supply of shoulders and upper limb. The main nerves of brachial plexus are the axillary nerve, which supply deltoid and teres minor muscles, the musculoskeletal nerves, which supply the anterior muscles of arm, the radial nerves, which supply the muscles on the posterior aspect of the arm and forearm, the median nerve supply most of the muscles of anterior forearm and some muscles of hand, and the ulnar nerve supply the anteromedial muscles of the forearm and most muscles of the hand as well as skin. Now thoracic nerve. The anterior rami of spinal nerve T1 to T12, they do not enter into the formation of plexus and are known as intercostal or thoracic nerves. These nerves supply the skin and muscles in and around the intercostal space, front and back of the thorax. Next is lumbar plexus. The lumbar plexus is formed by the anterior rami of the first three and part of the fourth lumbar nerves. The plexus is situated in front of the transverse process of lumbar vertebra. The lumbar plexus supply the anterolateral abdominal wall, external genitalia and parts of lower limbs. The largest nerve arising from lumbar plexus is femoral nerve. Other nerves of lumbar plexus are iliohypogastric nerve, ilioinguinal, genitofemoral, lateral cutaneous and obturator nerve. Sacral plexus. The roots of spinal nerve L4 to L5 and S1 to S4, they form the sacral plexus. This plexus is situated anterior to the sacrum. The sacral plexus supply the buttocks, perineum and lower limbs. Sacral plexus supplies the buttocks. The largest nerve in the body is known as sciatic nerve, which this arises from the sacral plexus. The sciatic nerve is largest nerve in the body and it is about 2 cm wide at its origin, and it passes through the greater sciatic foramen into the buttocks and then descends through the posterior aspect of thigh, supplying the hamstring muscles. At the end, at the level of mid of the thigh or femur bone, the sciatic nerve divides into two, tibial and common peroneal nerve, which supply the lower leg. Coccygeal plexus. The coccygeal plexus is a very small plexus formed by the part of fourth and fifth sacral and the coccygeal nerve. The nerves from this plexus supply the skin around the coccyx and anal area. Now we come to autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system is a part of peripheral nervous system which contributes to homeostasis by responding to subconscious visceral sensations and exciting or inhibiting the smooth muscles, cardiac muscles and glands. The autonomic nervous system includes the autonomic sensory muscles, neurons, integrating centers in the central nervous system and autonomic motor neurons. So these three parts are there which involve or form the ANS. A continual flow of nerve impulse from autonomic nerve sensory neurons to the integrating center in the medulla oblongata especially, and then to the uh, autonomic motor neuron. From autonomic motor neuron, the impulse reaches to the various effector organs or tissues. The autonomic nervous system is separated into two divisions. These are sympathetic nervous system, also known as thoracolumbar outflow, and parasympathetic nervous system, known as craniosacral outflow. The two divisions have both structural and functional differences. They normally work in an opposing manner, thereby maintaining a balance of involuntary functions. Each division has two efferent neurons between central nervous system and effector organ. Efferent means the sensation going out of central nervous system from brain or spinal cord. These are preganglionic neurons and postganglionic neurons. The cell body of preganglionic neuron is in the brain or spinal cord. Its axon terminates and synapses with the cell body of postganglionic neuron in the autonomic ganglion outside the CNS. The postganglionic neuron conducts impulse to the effector organ. Sympathetic stimulation prepares our body to deal with exciting or stressful situations, like strengthening its defense in the time of danger or in extreme of environmental temperature. A range of emotional states like fear, embarrassment, and anger also causes sympathetic stimulation. The adrenal glands are stimulated to secrete hormone adrenaline and noradrenaline into the bloodstream. The sympathetic stimulation prepares our body for fight and flight. The effect of stimulation on the heart, blood vessels, and lungs enables the body to respond by preparing it for exercise. Additional effects are an increase in the metabolic rate and increased conversion of glycogen to glucose. Parasympathetic stimulation has a tendency to slow down the body process, except digestion, absorption of food, and functions of genitourinary system. For example, it decreases the rate and force of heartbeat, constricts the coronary arteries, reducing the blood flow to the cardiac muscles, and so on. So, dear students, for watching such videos, you can visit my channel and subscribe the channel My Student Support System. You can visit Facebook page for latest updates. For making your notes, visit mynursingsstudents.blogspot.com. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and join Facebook group Nursing Notes. Thank you. Have a nice day.